Aliens shocked to discover humans mate for pleasure. On board, the scientists of the Kalari species monitored their instruments with meticulous precision. Their large, translucent eyes reflected streams of glowing data as the ship approached a small, blue planet, Earth. "Target planet is suitable for observation," one of the Kalari whispered to the council, its voice resonating in soft, musical tones. "Life signs indicate complex social behaviors. Humans appear intelligent. Reproductive activity detected. Efficiency seems below optimal levels." The aliens' concept of reproduction was purely functional. In their own world, reproduction occurred only when necessary, dictated by logic and survival needs. Pleasure was an unknown, unmeasured variable, and anything unrelated to efficiency was considered irrational. Yet as Zyphora descended into the atmosphere, sensors began to detect something unexpected. Humans were gathering in dense clusters, laughing, singing, and dancing. Energy consumption far exceeded what was required for survival. Their movements were unpredictable, yet synchronized in strange patterns. The Kalari scientists blinked in confusion. "Report, humans engage in non-essential activity involving pairs," said one analyst. "Behavior does not correspond to reproductive efficiency, purpose unclear." The council hummed in low tones, a sign of collective puzzlement. This was not what they had expected. They had prepared for a straightforward study of a species reproducing for survival. They had not anticipated pleasure. From a distance, in a city filled with towering glass buildings and glowing lights, humans went about their evenings. Couples walked hand in hand, exchanging smiles that were bright, unmeasured, and by Kalari standards, inefficient. Children played and laughed in parks, while adults held each other close or spoke softly in ways that carried meaning beyond words. The alien analysts attempted to categorize the activities. "Pairing rituals observed, close contact, laughter, touch," one noted. "Behavior continues without obvious survival advantage. Efficiency, negative." A second analyst spoke, its voice slightly higher, tinged with disbelief. "Are they enjoying themselves?" "Enjoyment is not measurable by logical instruments," the first replied. "Yet indicators, chemical signals, vocalizations, physical expressions suggest, yes, they appear to experience pleasure." The Kalari Council paused their discussion. In all their studies of life forms across galaxies, no species had ever demonstrated such a variable. No species had acted against efficiency so openly, so proudly. It was fascinating. To understand humans better, the Kalari deployed observation pods. These small, transparent spheres hovered silently above the city streets. They recorded everything: gestures, smiles, laughter, and gestures that seemed random yet carried deep meaning. In one bustling square, a young human couple played a simple game. She threw a small ball and he chased it, laughing as he tripped and fell on the soft grass. She clapped her hands and laughed too, kneeling beside him to help him up. The Kalari watched, perplexed. Why expend energy in such an inefficient manner? Why celebrate a stumble? One analyst, a senior observer named Kelnar, noted, "Purpose of activity unclear." Human logic appears inconsistent. Physical energy expenditure exceeds functional requirement. Behavior classified as joyful. The council buzzed with uncertainty. "Joyful? Explain." "Joyful, state in which humans engage in activity for pleasure independent of survival." "Chemical indicators suggest satisfaction. Repetition observed without practical need." Another analyst tilted its head. "This is illogical. Why would a species develop rituals that offer no direct survival benefit?" As the night deepened, the observation pods followed humans to various parts of the city. Humans shared meals, laughed at jokes, danced in public squares, and sang songs with no apparent reason. They held hands, kissed softly, and gazed at each other with eyes full of emotion. The Kalari analysts noted every detail, taking readings of brain activity, chemical levels, and physical responses. One pod hovered above a small human festival in a park. Bright lights glimmered, music echoed, and humans moved in intricate patterns. Some were paired, holding hands and spinning in circles. Others were alone but smiling, clapping, and joining the rhythm. "This is excessive," muttered Kelnar. "All activity appears voluntary without imposed necessity, yet indicators of happiness are strong. Reproduction unrelated to purpose, behavior illogical." A junior analyst, slightly trembling, whispered, "Could this be an evolutionary advantage?" Impossible, said Kelnar. Evolutionary advantage requires efficiency. Humans are expending resources for pleasure alone. This is remarkable. Across the city, humans continued their patterns. Couples strolled along riverbanks, talking in hushed tones. Families gathered for evening meals, sharing stories and jokes. Friends laughed together, sometimes embracing, sometimes teasing each other. Even in their solitary moments, humans engaged in music, painting, or reading, expressing creativity that had no immediate survival purpose. The Kalari scientists took note of the humans' unpredictability. Despite their lack of strict efficiency, humans thrived. They adapted quickly to challenges, innovated solutions to problems, and formed communities bound by care, loyalty, and love. Observation: humans combine pleasure and survival, Kelnar recorded. Non-logical activities correlate with increased social cohesion, resilience, and innovation. Hypothesis: human, illogical behavior contributes to long-term species success. Yet the aliens remained puzzled. They did not understand the mechanics of pleasure, of laughter, of intimacy. Their world valued logic, restraint, and efficiency above all else. Humans were chaotic, beautifully chaotic. As dawn approached on Earth, humans slept peacefully in their homes. The city streets were quiet, yet the energy readings from their brains and bodies still reflected activity, dreams, imagination, and subconscious connection. The Kalari analysts observed in silence. Remarkable, Kelnar said softly. Even in rest, humans' minds engage in patterns that suggest joy and creativity. Efficiency remains secondary. This species is unlike any other. The council buzzed in agreement, a sound that indicated both confusion and excitement. For the first time in their history, the Kalari were not merely studying a species. They were beginning to admire it. Kelnar looked out of the observation deck, watching the first rays of sunlight touch the city. Humans were already awake, moving with purpose, yet their smiles, laughter, and gentle gestures persisted. There was a resilience, a warmth, and a spark of unpredictability that no algorithm could measure. Perhaps, Kelnar mused, it is not logic alone that defines a species' strength. Perhaps joy, connection, and the pursuit of pleasure are forms of intelligence the Kalari cannot yet comprehend. And with that thought, the alien vessel Scifi continued its silent orbit, observing a world that had just revealed a secret the galaxy had never seen before. Humans did not live merely to survive. They lived to feel, to connect, and to experience life in all its unpredictable. Joyful chaos. The first chapter of this study was complete, but the Kalari knew their journey of understanding had only just begun. What they had witnessed tonight would challenge every assumption about life, efficiency, and purpose. Humans were not only survivors. They were creators of joy, inventors of connection, and masters of unpredictability. And somewhere deep within the alien council, a quiet thought began to form. Maybe, just maybe, humans' capacity for pleasure and connection was not a flaw, it was their greatest strength. The next day, the alien vessel Scifi hovered silently above the city. Its sensors had recorded hundreds of human interactions, and yet the Kalari scientists remained puzzled. Humans were unpredictable, energetic, and full of emotions the aliens could not categorize. They were no longer just observing survival behaviors, they were witnessing something entirely new, humans living for pleasure, connection, and joy. Report, Kelnar instructed. What is the status of human social behavior? The junior analyst hesitated, its translucent body quivering slightly. Observations continue to indicate irregular behavior, pairing rituals, games, dances, expressions of affection. Humans appear to derive pleasure from activities unrelated to survival or reproduction. Frequency of behavior exceeds logical expectation. Exceeding logical expectation, Kelnar repeated slowly. Yes, indeed, our predictions were wrong. These humans, they value enjoyment as much as survival, perhaps more. The council hummed, a mixture of confusion and intrigue vibrating through the vessel. They had studied thousands of species across galaxies, but none had displayed such deliberate, persistent engagement in non-essential pleasure. To understand better, the Kalari deployed new observation pods equipped with advanced translation capabilities. These pods could detect emotional cues, vocal patterns, and social hierarchies. As the pods hovered above the city, the aliens began to collect detailed records of human interaction. One pod focused on a small coffee shop filled with laughter and conversation. Humans sat together, sipping steaming drinks, smiling at each other, and speaking in soft, rapid tones. Two humans sat at a corner table, their hands occasionally touching as they laughed at an inside joke. Analysis: tactile contact appears frequent, the junior analyst noted. Hand-holding, touching faces, brief embraces, no reproductive action observed. Why do they engage in this behavior? Kellnar studied the readings. This is emotional bonding. Humans derive pleasure from connection, trust, and shared moments. Physical contact reinforces social bonds. This appears to strengthen survival indirectly, but not in a measurable way. The junior analyst shivered. Indirect advantage, not logical. How can pleasure be an advantage? Kellnar sighed, a sound that resonated like soft chimes. Perhaps it is not efficiency that defines a species' success. Perhaps it is adaptability, unpredictability, and the ability to inspire loyalty and cooperation. Meanwhile, humans outside the pods continued their daily routines. A young couple danced on the sidewalk to the rhythm of a street musician, spinning and laughing. A group of friends nearby played a simple game, tossing a ball while calling out jokes. Another human stood by a fountain, sketching the scene in a notebook, capturing laughter and movement with fluid lines. Observe, humans engage in art and play alongside social bonding, Kellnar recorded. Creativity is constant, voluntary, and pervasive. Repetition without necessity suggests motivation beyond survival. Humans seek joy. A senior analyst, skeptical, spoke up. But what about reproduction? Pairing rituals should serve only functional purposes. Why prolong courtship with games, dancing, and affectionate gestures? Kellnar tapped a claw against the console. Perhaps this is where their intelligence shines. Pleasure, affection, and creativity enhance cooperation. They form stronger bonds, which in turn improve group survival. They survive not because they follow strict logic, but because their emotions drive innovation and cohesion. The junior analyst tilted its head. So, inefficiency is their strength? Precisely, Kellnar said. A species that thrives through joy and connection is unpredictable. And unpredictability is difficult to counter. Humans are more capable than we anticipated. To gain a deeper understanding, the aliens followed a human scientist named Dr. Amara Lee, a biologist studying social behavior. Unlike most humans, she seemed aware of the observation pods but did not panic. She walked with confidence, gesturing to colleagues, and occasionally glancing at the sky as if sensing the alien presence. Kellnar was intrigued. This human may serve as a cultural interpreter, it noted. She understands social cues, leadership, and motivation. She may explain behaviors that appear illogical. Dr. Lee entered a laboratory filled with charts, graphs, and video recordings of human interactions. She smiled as she reviewed her data, unaware that the aliens were observing her with fascination. She gestured to a colleague, speaking softly about the importance of empathy in human society. Empathy? Asked the junior analyst. Define. Empathy, Kellnar translated for the council, is the ability to feel and understand the emotions of another individual. Humans experience empathy through observation, interaction, and imagination. It strengthens cooperation, loyalty, and problem-solving. The council buzzed. So their pleasure, their bonding rituals, their art, all contribute to empathy. Yes, Kellnar replied. It is a complex network. Joy leads to trust. Trust leads to collaboration. Collaboration leads to innovation. The sequence is inefficient but powerful. The aliens observed Dr. Lee meeting with a group of students in a park. She taught them about plants, sharing stories, and encouraging playful experiments. The students laughed, asked questions, and worked together to plant flowers. Observing this, the aliens realized that humans intertwined education, pleasure, and social connection in ways impossible to quantify. Remarkable, Kellnar whispered. Humans teach through joy, they learn through play. They form bonds that strengthen survival, yet the mechanism is subtle, emotional, and unpredictable. Later in the evening, humans gathered for a festival in the city square. Music played, lights glimmered, and laughter echoed across the streets. Humans danced in pairs, groups, and alone, all moving in intricate patterns that seemed spontaneous yet harmonious. Children ran through the crowd, chasing bubbles, while adults clapped, sang, and celebrated. The aliens recorded everything. Kellnar studied the readings carefully. Observe, human rituals are complex. No single element serves survival alone. Physical energy, mental engagement, and emotional investment are all high. Pleasure is central, yet the outcome strengthens community, resilience, and innovation. A junior analyst whispered, "It seems counterproductive, yet they flourish." Indeed, Kelnar agreed. It is counterproductive only if measured in narrow logic. In practice, these behaviors create cohesion, creativity, and adaptability. Humans are masters of emotional intelligence. As the festival continued, Kelnar noticed a couple sitting under a tree, talking softly and smiling. They held hands, brushed hair from each other's faces, and laughed quietly. There was no immediate purpose, no practical survival advantage, but something deeper was at work. "Observe," Kelnar said. "Pleasure drives connection. Connection drives loyalty. Loyalty drives collaboration. Collaboration drives advancement." Humans harness joy as a tool for survival. They are exceptional. The council hummed in approval, though some members remained skeptical. "Yet they defy prediction," one said. "Logic cannot anticipate their behavior. Their unpredictability is a threat and a marvel." Kelnar nodded. "Yes, humans are resilient because they embrace what we cannot quantify: emotion, pleasure, and creativity. They survive not by restraint, but by engagement with life itself." As night fell, the city quieted. Humans returned home, yet even in their solitude, their minds remained active. Music played softly in rooms, stories were whispered, and imagination thrived. The aliens continued to observe, recording the subtle ways humans integrated pleasure into thought, learning, and creativity. "Remarkable," Kelnar concluded. "Even when alone, humans seek connection. They create joy, they nurture curiosity, and they innovate for the sake of experience. Their pleasure-driven behaviors reinforce society, learning, and survival in ways our logic cannot predict." The council remained silent for a moment. No words existed in their language to describe the mixture of admiration, confusion, and excitement they felt. Humans were unpredictable, yet undeniably powerful. They were a species defined not only by survival, but by joy. And in that moment, the aliens began to understand something profound. The human drive for pleasure, love, and connection was not weakness. It was strength. It was the reason humans could thrive in unpredictable environments, solve complex problems, and inspire loyalty among one another. Their emotions, once dismissed as illogical, were the key to their resilience. Kelnar made the final recording for the day. Observation complete. Humans engage in behavior that defies logical prediction. Pleasure is central to their interactions. Emotional connection drives collaboration and innovation. Humans are a species unlike any other encountered. Continued study is required, yet preliminary conclusion: humans, joy is a form of intelligence. As the vessel drifted silently above the sleeping city, the stars glittered across the sky. Humans dreamed, imagined, and rested, unaware that they were being observed by beings from another world. Beings who had come to understand that life was more than survival. Life was experience. Life was joy. Life was connection. And in this quiet observation, the aliens realized something extraordinary. They were witnessing a species that did not merely endure existence, they celebrated it. A species that, through laughter, play, and affection, had found a strength no algorithm could predict. A species that might very well change the galaxy, not through conquest or logic, but through the sheer brilliance of being human. The alien vessel Scifi hovered quietly above the city as dawn painted the sky in gentle shades of pink and gold. For several days, the Kalari scientists had been observing humans, taking notes on their playful interactions, emotional bonds, and joy-driven behaviors. Yet one aspect of human life remained puzzling: courtship. "Report," Kelnar instructed, its voice echoing through the observation chamber. "We have documented social bonding, art, play, and emotional communication, but human courtship remains unclear. Define purpose." A junior analyst hesitated. "Behavior appears voluntary." Humans spend significant time in pairing rituals that involve touch, gestures, speech, and celebration. Reproductive activity may follow, but primary behavior seems unrelated to survival. Purpose unknown. "Observe carefully," Kelnar said. "This may reveal how humans combine pleasure with species continuation." The council approved a more detailed study. The aliens deployed smaller, closer observation pods capable of entering private areas with minimal disturbance. One pod followed a young human couple through a park as they laughed and ran between trees. The humans held hands, their fingers entwined naturally. They talked softly, occasionally whispering in a way that carried no measurable instruction or survival information, yet caused visible joy. Analysis, tactile engagement persists, the junior analyst noted. Hand-holding, gentle touch, smiling, laughter. Energy expenditure significant, reproductive behavior not immediate, motivation unclear. Kelnar watched intently. Humans appear to derive emotional satisfaction from connection itself. Pleasure drives interaction. Unlike other species, the act of bonding is as important as the outcome. The pod followed the couple to a small square where street performers entertained the crowd. The humans joined the music, clapping, dancing, and laughing together. Even without engaging in direct reproductive behavior, their bond strengthened visibly with each shared moment. The aliens recorded fluctuations in brain activity, hormone levels, and heart rates, noting the intricate connection between emotion and physical expression. "This is unprecedented," Kelnar murmured. "Their pairing rituals are not just functional, they are celebratory, playful, and voluntary. They strengthen loyalty, trust, and cooperation. Emotional energy is high. Pleasure reinforces bond stability. Humans are extraordinary." A junior analyst tilted its translucent head. "But how does this aid survival? They expend energy, time, and resources without immediate benefit." Kelnar's eyes glimmered. "Indirect benefit. Emotional connection increases cooperation. Cooperation strengthens group resilience. Humans survive not through efficiency alone, but through trust, loyalty, and social creativity. Joy is their weapon and shield." Later, the observation pod hovered above a human cultural festival. Music swelled, lights twinkled, and humans moved in patterns that seemed spontaneous yet harmonious. Some danced in pairs, holding hands and laughing. Others engaged in playful competitions or storytelling games. One couple sat near the fountain, talking softly, touching shoulders and smiling, their bond deepening not through force but through shared experience. "Observe carefully," Kelnar instructed the junior analyst. "These rituals are complex. Each gesture, each laugh, each shared joke builds connection. Humans derive pleasure while reinforcing social and emotional stability. This is their logic, a logic our instruments cannot fully measure." Curious to test the concept, Kelnar decided to conduct an experiment. The aliens attempted to replicate human courtship within their own species. They simulated gestures, attempted shared activities, and even mimicked laughter. Yet every attempt failed. Alien biology lacked the complex chemical and emotional feedback loops humans possessed. The gestures seemed meaningless, the laughter hollow, and the connections superficial. "Failure," Kelnar noted. "Our attempts lack authenticity. Humans' pleasure-driven bonding cannot be reproduced without emotion and creativity. Their intelligence is inseparable from their joy. Unpredictability is their strength." Meanwhile, Dr. Amara Lee continued her work on human social interaction. She introduced new games to children in a park, encouraged playful competitions among friends, and shared laughter with colleagues. Humans responded with energy and creativity, inventing new games, stories, and songs. Each activity was voluntary, yet each strengthened the bonds within the group. The aliens observed, fascinated. "Note, human innovation arises from joy," Kelnar recorded. "Creativity increases when pleasure is involved. Emotional engagement enhances memory, learning, and collaboration. Humans integrate survival and enjoyment in ways that maximize adaptability." One evening, the aliens focused on a young couple celebrating an anniversary. They shared flowers, laughter, and stories from their past year together. The interaction required no instruction, no logical necessity, yet each gesture reinforced their trust and connection. The aliens were stunned by the complexity of seemingly simple behaviors. "Observe, humans deliberately create joy to strengthen bonds," Kelnar explained. "They are conscious of emotion. They invest in connection voluntarily. Their reproductive efficiency may appear low, yet their social efficiency is remarkable. They survive by mastering unpredictability." The junior analyst hesitated. "So, pleasure is a survival tool?" "Yes," Kelnar replied. "Humans exploit emotion as strategy. Love, laughter, play, and affection are mechanisms that ensure loyalty, collaboration, and innovation. This is intelligence integrated with joy," Human strength is emotional, not purely logical. To explore further, the aliens attempted to communicate with humans. They used subtle holographic projections and gentle sound signals, introducing themselves as curious observers. Doctor. Lee noticed the pods and approached one cautiously. Instead of panic, she smiled. She understood observation could lead to understanding. "You are studying us," she said softly, her voice carrying warmth. "I hope you are learning the right lessons." Humans are not just creatures of logic. We create joy, we share affection, we thrive through connection. Kelnar translated her words for the council. "Observe, humans understand their behavior. They know pleasure is part of their survival strategy, not by logic alone, but by choice and creativity. Awareness enhances efficiency of emotional bonding." The aliens recorded Dr. Lee teaching a small group about human emotions. She explained how gestures, words, and shared activities deepen trust. She encouraged students to practice kindness, play, and creative expression. The humans listened eagerly, responded with laughter and questions, and shared moments of affection and encouragement. "Observe, humans educate through pleasure," Kelnar noted. "They integrate social bonding, creativity, and emotional growth. Knowledge is reinforced through joy. Adaptation is enhanced by engagement, not force. Humans have mastered a balance our logic cannot reproduce." One of the junior analysts spoke softly, almost in awe. "Humans, they turn pleasure into strength. Every act of joy builds resilience. Every game, every story, every gesture reinforces community. Their unpredictability is remarkable." "Indeed," Kelnar agreed. "Their mating and bonding behaviors are only a part of the whole. Humans thrive because they combine survival instincts with creativity, joy, and emotional intelligence. We cannot replicate this. We can only observe and learn." That night, the aliens continued to watch as humans walked through quiet streets, holding hands, sharing smiles, and singing softly. Even in private moments, humans sought connection. Some wrote letters, others composed music, while a few simply gazed at the stars, thinking of loved ones. Pleasure, affection, and joy guided their choices, reinforcing bonds and creating resilience. Kelnar recorded the final notes for the day. Observation complete. Humans engage in complex social rituals driven by pleasure. Bonding behaviors reinforce trust, loyalty, and collaboration. Attempted replication by Kalari failed. Conclusion: human joy and creativity are inseparable from their survival strategy. Humans are masters of emotional intelligence, unpredictability, and adaptability. The council hummed, a mix of approval and disbelief. Never before had they encountered a species that leveraged pleasure, affection, and creativity as tools for survival. The humans' combination of unpredictability, joy, and intelligence challenged every assumption the Kalari had about life. "Perhaps," Kelnar mused, "this is why humans thrive, not despite their pleasure but because of it, not despite unpredictability but because of it. Their joy is their power, their love is their shield, their laughter may be their secret weapon." And as the night deepened over the city, the humans continued their quiet celebrations of life, unaware that their choices, smiles, and moments of joy were being recorded by alien observers who were beginning to understand a truth they could not yet fully articulate. Humans were extraordinary. Humans did not merely survive. Humans thrived, and they did so through joy, connection, and the subtle genius of experiencing life fully. In the silence of space, Kelnar whispered to the council, "The test has begun. Observation only reveals what we see. True understanding requires appreciation of what humans feel." And so the aliens waited, ready to witness more of a species whose strength lay not in efficiency alone, but in laughter, play, affection, and the remarkable power of being alive. The sun rose slowly over the city, casting soft golden light over the streets, parks, and buildings. The alien vessel Sci-Fi hovered silently above, its sensors tracking human activity as always. But today was different. Kelnar, the senior analyst, had made a bold decision. Instead of remaining in distant observation, the aliens would experience human culture firsthand. "Council decision: we must understand humans beyond data," Kelnar stated. "Observation alone is insufficient. Direct participation will reveal what cannot be measured." The council hummed with curiosity. It was unprecedented. The Kalari were a species of logic and precision. Direct contact was usually avoided to prevent contamination of the subject. Yet Kelnar insisted. We cannot quantify joy, affection, or emotional intelligence from a distance. Humans must be experienced. A few hours later, a small alien team, carefully disguised in human forms through advanced holographic projection, stepped into the bustling city. The streets were alive with music, laughter, and movement. Humans moved freely, unaware that some observers were not quite human. "Observe," Kelnar whispered as they walked among the crowds. "Emotions guide behavior, joy is constant. Bonding occurs through shared experience, touch, and expression. Humans thrive by choosing connection." The team followed Dr. Amara Lee, who had discovered the pods days earlier but now smiled warmly at their presence. She guided them to a public festival in the central square. Colorful banners fluttered, music filled the air, and humans danced in groups and pairs. Children ran through the streets, laughing and playing games while adults clapped, sang, and engaged in spontaneous performances. "This is extraordinary," murmured the junior analyst. "All activity is voluntary, yet energy, emotion, and joy are at maximum. Humans derive satisfaction from connection alone. There is no measurable survival purpose, yet efficiency appears irrelevant. They thrive." Dr. Lee approached the disguised aliens and smiled. "Welcome," she said. "You are welcome to join us." Humans celebrate connection through music, dance, games, and storytelling. Joy is a gift and a practice. Participate and you may understand it. Kelnar exchanged a glance with the council's representatives. "Participation is unusual," it said, "but necessary. To understand fully, we must engage." The aliens hesitated, unsure if their bodies, or rather their projections, could replicate human motion and expression convincingly. But with careful mimicry, they began to move along with the humans. At first, their gestures were stiff and awkward. When music played, their rhythm faltered, and their attempts at smiles felt unnatural. Yet, as they continued, something remarkable happened. Observing the humans' laughter and lighthearted energy, the aliens' own projections adjusted. Movements became more fluid. Smiles softened. Subtle gestures, touching shoulders, leaning in during conversation, mirroring body language, began to feel natural. Kelnar noted every detail. Human joy is contagious. Emotional intelligence spreads through observation and participation. We cannot simulate this through calculation alone. It must be experienced. Emotional energy is transformative. The festival reached its peak. Humans formed circles to dance, singing songs that invited everyone to join. Children twirled, their laughter ringing like bells. Adults held hands, spinning gracefully, sharing smiles and soft whispers. The aliens moved carefully among them, mimicking gestures, clapping, and joining in rhythm. Slowly, their own data streams began to change. Chemical levels, neurological readings, and behavioral patterns indicated shifts in mood and engagement. "This is more than social bonding," Kelnar whispered. "This is a form of intelligence. Humans transmit loyalty, trust, and cooperation through pleasure. Each gesture, each laugh, each shared glance reinforces their strength as a species." A human child noticed one of the disguised aliens struggling with a dance step. She giggled and extended her hand. "Here, try it like this," she said. Her innocence and warmth were genuine without calculation. The alien hesitated, then followed her guidance. Step by step, they moved in harmony with her. The sensation, joy, trust, connection was unlike anything the alien had experienced before. "Observation, humans teach through play," Kelnar noted. "Learning is enhanced when joy is integrated. Instruction and pleasure reinforce each other. The effect strengthens social bonds and emotional intelligence simultaneously." Nearby, Dr. Lee laughed with a group of teenagers as they engaged in a storytelling game. Each person added a line to a story, twisting events creatively, improvising, and reacting to one another. The humans' energy was infectious. Even the aliens, initially awkward, began to contribute small gestures and responses, guided by emotion rather than calculation. "Emotional participation enhances cognition," Kelnar recorded. "Humans integrate pleasure and creativity to increase problem-solving, trust, and cohesion. Their strength is in unpredictability guided by joy." As evening fell, the festival transitioned into quieter celebrations. Families shared food and laughter. Couples walked together, holding hands, talking softly, and exchanging smiles. The aliens observed, noting how affection and play reinforced connection and mutual understanding. Kelnar approached one human couple sitting under a tree watching the city lights. The pair held hands, leaning into each other, sharing a story from their day. They laughed quietly, a sound both gentle and sincere. "This is subtle," Kelnar whispered. Humans invest in emotional capital. Touch, laughter, and shared experience strengthen bonds that endure stress and challenge. They thrive not by dominance, but by mutual support reinforced through joy. The council murmured in agreement. They had expected to see survival behaviors, efficiency, and perhaps minor cultural variation. Instead, they witnessed a species whose strength lay in connection, pleasure, and creativity. Humans were unpredictable yet resilient, fragile yet surprisingly powerful. Later, a small group of humans began a quiet ritual. They sat in a circle, sharing stories of triumphs, challenges, and moments of kindness. One person recited a poem, another sang softly, and a third offered words of encouragement. Each contribution deepened understanding, trust, and empathy. The aliens noted the intricate interplay of joy, reflection, and social reinforcement. "Observe," Kelnar said. "Humans integrate emotion into decision-making. Pleasure, affection, and creativity enhance memory, cooperation, and resilience. Joy is their strength. Connection is their weapon. Unpredictability is their shield." The aliens had never experienced anything like this. On Kelari homeworld, social interactions were calculated, relationships were transactional, and emotions were suppressed to avoid inefficiency. Yet here, in the midst of music, laughter, and storytelling, the aliens understood that unpredictability, driven by joy, created resilience, loyalty, and creativity. One junior analyst whispered, I feel different. Observing is no longer enough." Participation changes perception. Humans are remarkable. "Yes," Kelnar agreed. "We cannot replicate this. We can only learn, adapt, and respect. Human strength lies not only in survival, but in experience, joy, and connection. Their pleasure is purposeful, their laughter strategic, their love essential." As the festival ended, humans began returning home. The aliens, still disguised, followed. They observed quiet moments of reflection, gentle gestures of care, and expressions of affection. Even in solitude, humans found ways to experience joy through music, art, reading, or quiet thought. Every act, small or large, strengthened bonds and reinforced resilience. Kelnar made the final recording for the day. Observation complete. Direct participation has revealed that humans integrate pleasure and emotion into survival. Their joy is inseparable from intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Emotional participation enhances perception, learning, and resilience. Humans are extraordinary, unpredictable, and resilient through connection. Respect is warranted. The council hummed in acknowledgement. The aliens had not only learned about humans, they had experienced their brilliance. They understood that intelligence and strength could manifest not only through logic and calculation, but also through joy, empathy, and shared experience. As the night settled over the city, humans slept peacefully, unaware that the aliens had been among them. Yet through laughter, dance, storytelling, and connection, humans had revealed a truth the galaxy had rarely seen. Strength was not only in survival or efficiency, but in living fully, loving deeply, and celebrating life through shared joy. Kelnar looked out over the city from the vessel. Humans are unlike any species we have studied. Their unpredictability, emotional intelligence, and mastery of joy make them formidable. We cannot predict them, we cannot replicate them, and perhaps we should not. Their greatest gift is the choice to live, to connect, and to find pleasure in every moment. For the first time, the aliens truly understood humans, not as subjects to be studied, but as a species worthy of admiration, respect, and cautious awe. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the city, humans danced under the stars, laughed in quiet corners, and shared stories that would last a lifetime. Their joy was a force, subtle yet undeniable, a power that even the most advanced aliens could not fully comprehend. In that moment, the Kalari realized a simple truth. Humans did not merely survive the universe. Humans lived it. They celebrated it. They thrived because they chose to experience it fully. And in that choice lay their greatness. The city lay under a quiet blanket of early morning mist, soft sunlight spilling over rooftops and streets. From above, the alien vessel Scifi watched silently. The Kalari scientists aboard were no longer merely observers. They had participated, learned, and been transformed by what they had seen. Humans, in their unpredictable brilliance, had shown that survival alone was not the measure of a species. Strength came from connection, creativity, and joy. Observation complete, Kelnar said, its voice low and resonant. We have experienced humans firsthand. Their capacity for pleasure, affection, and collaboration is remarkable. No algorithm can predict them. No calculation can replicate them. Their resilience lies in unpredictability guided by joy. The council hummed with acknowledgement. The Kelari had studied countless species across thousands of worlds. None had ever displayed such combination of intelligence, creativity, and emotional strength. Humans were extraordinary. To understand further, the aliens followed the city into a day of ordinary life. Humans moved with purpose and playfulness, balancing work and leisure, connection and solitude. Children played with simple toys, inventing games and rules as they went. Adults engaged in discussions, teaching, learning, and laughing together. Creativity was everywhere. Music, art, architecture, and even small acts of kindness were tools of survival and strength. Kelnar observed closely. Even in routine activities, humans integrate joy and purpose. Their choices reinforce society. Their interactions increase cooperation. Their laughter and connection are mechanisms of resilience. The alien scientists were particularly fascinated by the way humans celebrated achievements and failures alike. In workplaces, small victories were shared with smiles and stories. Mistakes were met with humor and encouragement. Individuals contributed ideas freely, supported by community trust, and motivated by shared pleasure and accomplishment. Observation: humans turn ordinary tasks into experiences of connection and joy, Kelnar noted. Efficiency is secondary. Cooperation, learning, and emotional bonds are prioritized. Humans transform mundane existence into opportunity for bonding and creativity. Dr. Amara Lee, continuing her work as a cultural guide, invited the aliens to witness a large public event in the city park, a festival celebrating the arts. Music filled the air, children ran between stands, and humans of all ages joined in painting, storytelling, and games. The aliens, still using holographic disguises, participated with increasing confidence. They painted alongside children, listened to stories, and clapped in rhythm with music. For the first time, they understood the subtle feedback of shared emotion. Happiness spread naturally, not through command, but through voluntary participation. Observation: joy is contagious, Kelnar said. Participation increases understanding, empathy, and cooperation. Humans engineer social cohesion through emotion. Unpredictability is a strength because it fosters innovation and resilience. By mid-afternoon, the aliens witnessed another remarkable scene. A group of humans had gathered to help rebuild a small playground damaged by a storm. Neighbors, strangers, and friends worked together, exchanging jokes, stories, and laughter. Their shared effort was efficient, yet joy permeated every action. The aliens noted how motivation derived not only from obligation, but from pleasure, connection, and creativity. "This is remarkable," one junior analyst whispered. "Humans combine work, joy, and social connection seamlessly. Productivity arises from happiness and collaboration, not fear or logic alone." Kelnar nodded. "Their unpredictability is a strategy. They adapt to challenges through trust and affection, turning obstacles into opportunities for shared experience. Their intelligence is emotional, social, and creative as much as logical. This is a level of sophistication beyond our calculations." As evening approached, humans began another ritual, watching the sunset together. Families, friends, and couples gathered on rooftops, bridges, and parks. They spoke quietly, reflected on the day, and shared stories, smiles, and laughter. The aliens, observing, realized that humans not only survived, but thrived through these small, deliberate acts of connection. A couple nearby held hands, their fingers intertwined. They spoke softly, occasionally laughing, occasionally remaining silent in comfortable reflection. Their expressions were subtle but full of meaning, empathy, trust, and shared understanding. Kelnar analyzed the readings and marveled at the results. Observation: humans sustain bonds through small, meaningful gestures, Kelnar recorded. Affection, attention, and shared experience reinforce social cohesion. Survival is enhanced not by force or efficiency, but by voluntary care and joy. The night sky arrived with a blanket of stars. Humans gathered for a quiet celebration, a community storytelling event. Candles glimmered, soft music played, and each human shared stories of courage, kindness, and discovery. The aliens noted how these rituals preserved knowledge, reinforced cultural values, and strengthened social bonds. "This is extraordinary," said the junior analyst. "Humans learn, teach, and inspire through voluntary acts of pleasure. Knowledge spreads through joy. Cooperation is reinforced through shared experience. Their survival depends on creativity, empathy, and unpredictability." Kelnar looked around the square. "Humans are masters of integration. Survival, joy, learning, and connection coexist. Their strength is invisible yet potent. We have underestimated the power of pleasure-driven behavior." Later, the aliens observed humans in quieter moments, writing letters, composing music, sharing meals, or simply sitting quietly together. Each act, small or large, reinforced connection. Humans thrived because their pleasure and creativity were entwined with survival. Logic alone could not explain their success, only experience could. Kelnar spoke to the council. "Our study concludes humans' greatest strength lies not in brute force, efficiency, or calculation. It lies in their ability to integrate joy, connection, and creativity into every aspect of life. Unpredictable, resilient, and emotionally intelligent, humans thrive where logic alone would fail." The council hummed. For the first time, admiration and awe replaced detached analysis. Humans were not only capable, they were extraordinary in ways the Kelari could never have predicted. Kelnar continued, "We have observed festivals, play, bonding, teaching, work, reflection, and community service. In every context, humans leverage joy to reinforce connection and resilience. Their unpredictability, previously seen as inefficiency, is their advantage. Humans succeed because they live fully and intentionally." The aliens watched as humans, unaware of observation, returned home. Some played games, some sang, some wrote, some simply smiled at the company of loved ones. Each act, though seemingly small, strengthened society, reinforced bonds, and nurtured creativity. "Observation, humans are architects of their own resilience," Kelnar noted. "Through pleasure, affection, and shared experience, they achieve strength far beyond what efficiency alone could produce. Their unpredictability ensures adaptability. Their joy ensures survival." The final test came when a group of humans organized an impromptu night celebration under the stars. Music, laughter, and light filled the air. Humans danced freely, shared stories, and exchanged small tokens of care. Even strangers joined the festivities, creating bonds of trust and joy that had no immediate survival purpose. Yet the social cohesion was remarkable, the energy contagious, and the effect on the group's resilience undeniable. "This is a revelation," whispered the junior analyst. "Humans do not merely survive the galaxy, they thrive because they embrace life fully. Every act of joy is a strategy, every connection is a tool of strength." Kelnar added, "Their power lies in unpredictability guided by emotion. Their creativity and pleasure-driven intelligence make them formidable. Respect is not optional, it is essential. We observe, we learn, and we admire." As the festival wound down, humans gazed at the night sky, some pointing out constellations, others quietly reflecting, yet all connected through shared experience. The aliens, observing, felt an unfamiliar sense of humility. These creatures, small and seemingly ordinary, had mastered a way of life the Kelari could barely comprehend. "Conclusion," Kelnar recorded. "Humans integrate pleasure, joy, creativity, affection, and emotional intelligence into survival. They thrive through unpredictability and connection. Their resilience is emotional, social, and intellectual simultaneously. Humans are extraordinary. The galaxy should regard them with admiration and caution." The city fell silent. Humans returned home, slept peacefully, and dreamed in quiet harmony. The aliens watched one last time, then began preparations to leave orbit. Earth had revealed its secret. Strength lay not only in logic, efficiency, or power, but in joy, creativity, connection, and the deliberate choice to live fully. As Zyphora departed, Kelnar looked back at the blue planet. "Humans have shown us a truth beyond measurement. Survival is important, but joy transforms survival into greatness. Connection turns life into resilience. Pleasure creates intelligence. The galaxy has underestimated humanity. We will record, learn, and respect this species. Their strength is theirs alone, and we cannot replicate it, but we can admire it. And somewhere on Earth, humans continued to laugh, dance, teach, play, and love. Unaware of the alien observers, they celebrated life simply by living it fully. Their joy, their affection, and their creativity radiated outward like an invisible force. A species that thrived not just through survival instincts, but through the brilliance of choosing connection, pleasure, and joy. The aliens had left, but the impression of humanity's extraordinary power lingered. Not through conquest or technology, but through laughter, love, creativity, and the simple yet profound decision to live life with meaning and delight. And in that decision, humanity's greatness shone, a beacon of unpredictability, resilience, and brilliance in a galaxy that had never fully seen its like before.